few days ago, I was looking at Deuteronomy and how false prophets are those who take us away from God and from the truth of the Bible. And true prophets are those who point us to the Bible and point us to God. And somebody raised a good question about what about those kind of arbitrary rules that we find in the Old Testament. And they gave the example of where in Leviticus and in Deuteronomy, it says that we shouldn't wear clothes like this, clothes that are mixed fibres. This is polycotton, polyester and cotton. And it says that you should not wear clothes that are woven of wool and linen. It also says you shouldn't plough a field with an ox and a donkey. You shouldn't sow different seeds in your vineyard. And it seems to be that this is a metaphor, or there are a couple of reasons. A metaphor for saying that actually the people of God need to be pure. They need to be only one kind of thing. Because the temptation then we see in so much of the Old Testament was people wanted to follow idols. They wanted to have a bit of the God of Israel, and they wanted to have a bit of some other gods. Today it might be people want a little bit of some different religions, a little bit of consumerism, a little bit of Christianity, a little bit of Hinduism, etc., etc. And since that's always the habit, God says, no, just be one thing. Just don't be wool and linen, don't be donkey and ox, etc. Just be one thing and know what you are. Be the one thing needs to be God. I hope that makes sense. And it's particularly the case, it seems to be, for the people who have a particularly priestly role, that it should be clear to them. They should wear clothes that make it clear. It says they should wear tassels on their robes. Why? Because everyone would see those tassels and say, those are the people of God. So I hope that's helpful. The best analogy I can think of when I worked for the police many years ago, and we used to get instructions to be very wary of anybody who's impersonating a police officer. So you can't wear, you can't buy in this country the uniform that a police officer would wear, because otherwise people look at somebody wearing that uniform and they don't know if they'll really be a police officer or somebody pretending. And it's the same, it seems, that God says. We need to be wearing, as it were, in the things that we do, in the things that we believe, in who we are. We need to only be wearing the things that show that we are God's. And maybe that makes a little bit of sense. This rule that seems to be arbitrary, that actually begins to make a bit of sense as we begin to look into it more in the context. I hope that's helpful. God bless you today.